Texas Roadhouse wants tablets at the tables in all their restaurants, which makes dinner feel more like checking into Spirit Airlines. Also, Netflix movies are getting shorter, probably because our attention span now requires emotional life support. Thank you for liking and subscribing and being a part of @BudFord Comedy. Also today, I accidentally discovered world-class sushi in Arkansas. And I swear to you, that sentence feels illegal to this day. Texas Roadhouse may start using handheld tablets at all of their locations nationwide. As soon as I read that, I was like, I could feel my spirit just leaving my body because we are this close, right here, this close to restaurants becoming just kiosks with ranch dressing. Now, I understand efficiency. I get all of that. But somewhere along the way, I believe restaurants stopped asking, how do we improve dinner? And started asking, how do we eliminate eye contact? Which is a little bit messed up because that's where we are now. Everything's got a screen. We have a QR code, that's so you can look at your menu. You have the tablet so you can make your own order. And then you got to digitally tip. I just wanted chips and queso. Your food's suspect at best. But now I got to log into a portal. And I hate those little tablets. And I know what you're thinking, and I don't blame you. He hates those tablets because he's old. No, it's not for the reason you think. It's because they're nasty. Everybody and their brother has touched that. Kids with syrup hands. A guy that just left the bathroom. Some toddlers coughing right onto the part that says appetizers. Then a machine lights up all cheerful. Hi, would you like dessert? No, I need antibiotics. Those tablets don't feel sticky. They all do, every single dang one of it. You know I'm right. I don't even know what that substance is anymore. It's restaurant tablet goo. It's got its own ecosystem. We need to get some scientists to study what it is. All I'm telling you is there's enough DNA on the one at Chili's to recreate a civilization. Now, they might be slow, but it'll be a civilization of something. I don't know what. Now, the other thing is, they're always like, well, what this is going to do is this is going to improve the guest experience, which is a phrase that corporate people made up. Because nobody that I ever known got finished with dinner at Chili's and went, you know what really improved my guest experience was the iPad nachos. No, that didn't happen. That's not happening. Because what actually makes restaurants good is people. Yeah, it's crazy. It's people. That's the whole point. A great server can save an average meal. Ask TGI Fridays. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. A bartender that remembers your name and your favorite drink. That's why you keep going back. That's hospitality. When I say to the bartender, hey, I'm thinking about the chicken fried steak, and he looks at me dead in my face and he goes, yeah, you don't want that today. Let's keep looking. That's what I'm paying for. Now we live in that transactional society, don't we? You sit down, immediately a screen's in your face. They're asking you for a 35% tip. Nobody's even brought me water. I'm not even emotionally committed to this place yet. You're already asking for money? Let me tell you how I work. When I go into a restaurant, I sit down. If I smell a little something, if there's a little something off in the vibe, I'm prone to stand up and leave. Like, immediately leave. I don't care if you've brought me drinks. If you brought me 2 glasses of tea and one of them's got a fingerprint on it in a bad place, I'm leaving. Just going to get up. Probably going to put a $10 bill on the table, but I'm leaving. We're not even dating yet and you're asking for money. I don't like it. I mean, used to there was a time when the food was incredible. That's not the case anymore. The truth we don't want to talk about is, about the best you're going to get out of these cats is mediocrity. In fact, you realize About midway through the meal, for 12 bucks, I could have recreated this meal, but I could have done it, without the hair in the middle. Yeah, doesn't take long. It's a slippery slope, too, because next thing you know, you're sitting at home in sweatpants cooking a steak on the grill outside, and you get one right? Done. All it takes is just a few recipes. The average person only knows how to make 6 things from scratch. The internet, YouTube, you can make anything you want. In fact, right this very minute, I'm contemplating replacing this old junker grill that's out here with a new Weber. Spirit makes one now with 4 burners, so it's really exciting, and it has a little sear area too. And it's pretty good size, but not massive. The next model up gets much bigger. It's not as feature rich, but size is always good on a grill, right? I was taught to grill chicken in an afternoon. I had a buddy of mine who said, "Hey, I'm going to go home today, and I'm going to make some chicken." I was like, "Really? How you going to make it?" He said, "I'm going to put it on the grill. I'll pay for the whole thing, sides and everything, if you will allow me to come and you will teach me how to make chicken on a grill, because I've never been taught on a gas grill how to do anything." And he said, "Bro, you don't got to buy this chicken. Come on over." I did. I bought everything. And he taught me how to cook chicken that day. That very next day, I had a new grill sitting in my house, and I could make chicken. And my friends would come over. They're like, "Man, your chicken's the best, bro." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And I got to where I enjoyed that, right? So then I learned to make steaks, and I cooked a lot of really bad steaks. But then I got really good at them, and now I feel like I can cook a really good steak. I got 5 or 6 ways I'll cook them out here. So now I'm thinking one of them really kick booty grills is good. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it all out. But what happens is the magic and the luster of the restaurants go away when you realize they charged me $94 for something I could have made at home for 12 bucks. Outback all of a sudden's in trouble, right? I don't need to go there, because a lot of times I'll pay 95, 100 bucks for a cow that unfortunately had to die in vain, and a potato that's questionable at best. But then there's the other side of the problem. If I stop going to restaurants, I become a house cat. And that's my social life, because restaurants are still one of the places that people go physically outside of church and talk to other people. Without restaurants, a lot of us will not leave our home, especially now, because everything can be brought to us, right? Groceries, movies, dating, work. At this point, the only reason people ever really leave their house is fajitas. Restaurants are basically adult field trips, and that's why the tablet thing really bothers me, because we're removing the last little bits of human interaction we have left. Nobody admits, but humans are weirdly hungry for that odd sort of interaction, that little conversation with the waitress in the same place that you've been to 4 times, but today she decides to tell you she's from Minnesota, which you and your girl have been talking about because you recognize the accent. And she says, "Where are you from?" Now things begin. The conversation starts. When a bartender's joking around, that's fun. Some old guy in the table next to you talking about boats way too loud. That's society. That's community. When you remove all of that, dinner's just going to feel like charging your phone at Panera. And the companies always push this at us under the guise of, it'll make things faster. Faster towards what? Why are we in such an all-fire hurry to get done with dinner? We used to get to linger at restaurants. Back in the old day, you would get done with dinner, they'd bring you a cup of coffee. 6 people would light up cigarettes. Everybody had a Zippo, you light the lighter, and they sat there. And if you're a kid, you didn't smoke, you were under 10, you had to be like, "Okay, when are we leaving?" Now they're on the 3rd cigarette, 4th cup of coffee, and everybody's ordering dessert. They're laughing. Everybody's having a good time. We're embarrassing ourselves. Now we got a 2nd dessert coming. That was the fun of the process. Not anymore. Now it's tap a screen, confirm your order, tip awkwardly, and leave. It's not dinner, it's self-checkout with lettuce wraps. And restaurants are just one of those places that I believe where humans should still feel human. I don't need warmth from my banking account app. I don't need that. That's fine. But if I'm sitting in a booth eating fried pickles, I'd like for at least one person to walk by and pretend like they're interested and glad I came. So my girlfriend picked the movie the other night, which always puts me on edge because women suggest movies the same way men suggest restaurants, confidently, but with very little explanation. And my girl, I pick on her all the time about this, so when she sees this ain't gonna cause no unnecessary friction in my home. She is prone to switch. She likes her thing was she liked to move through channels, and then she would see a color scheme or something that she liked and she would stop. So sometimes I'll walk in here and I'll be like, "What you watching, honey?" And she'll say, "Oh, I'm watching the North American migration of the Zimbabwe monkey." And I'm like, "Oh, that's fabulous." The next day I'll come in and I'll be like, "What you watching, honey?" And she'll say, "Oh, I'm watching a 1800s period piece about living in a castle." So you see why when she starts recommending movies, I start thinking, well, we should think about it. However, I ended up on the Apex movie on Netflix, which has been a big one for them. And I got to tell you, it's pretty good. But the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking, haven't I seen this? Isn't this like two other movies I know? It's The River Wild meets Cliffhanger, with emotionally damaged people running through the woods. Here's the movie. Somebody's climbing rocks, somebody's breathing hard, everybody's wet and exhausted. At one point, I thought, oh, this ain't a movie, it's REI propaganda. Charlize Theron's in it. Charlize Theron is one of the most beautiful people. Just physically, this is a completely shallow statement, so hate me if you want to, but I'm saying from a physics standpoint, if you're AI about to create a beautiful person, she has a sort of this perfectly round head. She's a very pretty human. She's in it. I really don't know if she was the hero, the villain, or just aggressively mysterious. And I kind of feel like that's her life. I kind of feel like that's not really just on screen. She played the whole role like, I know something, but I also hike professionally. It's a tough role to prepare for. The entire movie, she had this energy like, I either survived some serious trauma or I own a crystal shop in Sedona. Now, after you watch it a little while, you'll realize there's a dead giveaway that she does not own a crystal shop in Sedona. It's that she doesn't have 13 turquoise rings on each finger on her hand. That's the difference. That's the subtle clue. For me, if you've ever been to Sedona, you know I'm right. But you'll spend about a half hour in the movie trying to figure out, should you trust her? And the answer at the end is maybe. The movie ends like somebody got called into another meeting. No real ending, no credits, just the end just sort of arrives, you know, like an Uber Eats driver. And you're sitting there afterwards like, hold on, is that it? And Netflix has become the king of that, king of movies that sort of don't really end. Because everybody's scared to finish a story now like it should naturally end. Because if you end it that way, all of a sudden we can't make Apex 2 still apexing, can we? No, we cannot. That's the real reason. The movie exploded on Netflix. I mean, it was big, quick. And I don't think it has anything to do with the plot. I mean, she's beautiful. There's some really good actors and actresses on the movie, or in the movie, rather. I think the real star of the show is it's short. It's 1 hour and 37 minutes, which is perfect for now. That's the sweet spot for movies in America. Nobody has emotional stamina anymore. 2 hours? Absolutely not. You better land the plane and get it done quicker if you can. 2 hours and 14 minutes, I feel like I'm kind of being held hostage, and I'm running out of popcorn. Worse than that, I'm tired of eating popcorn, and that's something I should never experience in this life. I had to sit through one the other day that was almost 3 hours. That was not a movie. That was a semester abroad. Nobody needs that much character development. Apex understands modern audiences. Get in, run through the woods, act suspicious, roll credits, done. That's why people are watching it. That's it. Nobody wants to commit to cinematic homework anymore. My girl was going over the movie choices that we had for that particular night when we were sitting here, and I thought, no. And then when I looked at the Charlize Theron movie, I was like, wait a minute. Is that only 1 hour and 37 minutes? Is it really that short? Let's get a run at it. Because back in the day, you know, movies had intermissions. Now, if Netflix says, are you still watching? I feel accused. It becomes a personal thing. And pacing matters too, because this movie moves fast. Nobody's sitting around explaining the childhood trauma that created whatever Charlize Theron is in this movie for 40 straight minutes. Movies got addicted to speeches. Everybody was whispering dramatically while staring out windows. Apex said, no, we're skipping all of that garbage. They treated attention spans like they're on life support, which they are. And the soundtrack, the Chemical Brothers, Go, when that song comes on, suddenly you feel like you're being chased through the forest. That's a win. I folded the laundry faster. I checked the mail with more urgency. My girl almost ordered hiking boots online. That's a powerful soundtrack. They're all like, 40 million views. Yeah, because half of America fell asleep during it and accidentally restarted it later. And when they did that, Netflix counts everything. So you can see where that number come from. You sneeze near a remote, and all of a sudden, Adam Sandler's gonna have yet another hit. That's how it works. And I think streaming has changed us psychologically. We don't even ask if the movie was great anymore. We ask, was it short enough to survive? That's the new review system. It got 150 Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody cares. How long was it? Pretty good movie. Only ask me for 97 minutes, respectful of my evening. That's about the best compliment you're going to get now in a review. Not it changed my life, just that it didn't drag. And finally, a group of startup founders are trying to build a high-end Japanese dining thing in Arkansas. Sounds weird, but I kind of get it. Because years ago, I had this buddy of mine. He was a world-traveling dude. He lived in San Francisco. He loved food. He loved sushi. He was one of those guys that knew where the good stuff was. I don't know if you've ever met that person yet, but someday in your life, I've been lucky. I've had a couple of those people in my life. People that just know how to squeeze the best things out of everything, especially dining. He's one of those people you could be like, hey, where should we eat? Suddenly, you're in an alley behind a gas station 13 miles away eating the best tacos you've ever had. He's one of those kind of people. He was a record rep. So he worked for some of the biggest labels in history, and he worked some of the biggest in history from stars like Michael Jackson, Pearl Jam, and hundreds more. We were hungry, and he was like, we should just eat this sushi place. I said, in Little Rock, Arkansas? I mean, Arkansas is awesome, don't get me wrong. But you don't go into Arkansas thinking, boy, I hope the tuna situation is strong. That's not their vibe. It's not their brand. Arkansas is more like catfish, deer jerky, bass tournament sponsored by Mountain Dew. That's what you expect. This sushi place was unbelievable. It was incredible. I mean, everyone at the table stopped talking kind of good. The kind of good where grown men stopped checking their phones, stopped telling stories, and just went, as they pointed at rolls. We all agreed at the end of that dinner, this was absolutely the best sushi that any of us had ever had. Now, I'm not near as world-traveled as those people were, because some of them were part of a band we were working with, and they've eaten all over the world, too. And we all decided, no, it's here. So somehow, Little Rock, all the places in the world, came off the top rope with the Hall of Fame yellowtail. Like, those are stories you can't make up. That's the fun in life. The old rules don't really work anymore, right? Because back in the day, you had 3 or 4 restaurants, and they were all pretty good in your neighborhood. But now, that ain't how life works. The best barbecue could potentially be being made by a dentist in Oregon. It's not really the case. If you're wondering where the best ribs are made, I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock you. They're made in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at a restaurant called Burn Co. Barbecue. Believe it or not, I did not. When I walked in, the man shoved a rib in my face and he said, "Trust me when I tell you, this will be the best rib you ever eat." I said, whatever. I'm from South Carolina. I've been Kansas City, Texas. I've eaten some good barbecue, son. Let me get that rib. Took my first bite out of that rib, and let me tell you something. That was the best barbecue I ever had. So if you're looking for barbecue ribs, trust me when I tell you it's in Tulsa. Burn Co. If you need that recommendation again, let me know. Hashtag not an ad. Arkansas's quietly developed a black market seafood sitch going on there. It's an empire down there, and it's shocking to me. I don't know if it's Walmart and they're secretly using some kind of fish pipeline, or if all the roads lead through Bentonville. I don't know. But suddenly Arkansas has startup founders opening Japanese fine dining halls. I didn't even know what that was until I found out they got them in Arkansas. And that should never be said in American society. You hear me? Ever. Should never be said. And that whole sentence, this whole conversation 20 years ago would have sounded like I was some kind of wackadoodle. Silicon Valley executives moved to Arkansas, if you didn't know this, during the pandemic. They got out here and they were like, you know, what we don't have out here is a good crab roll. So they launched these upscale sushi concepts, which now is going to find its way into becoming a Japanese dining hall, and that's pretty cool. And that begs the question, what happened to America? Because not having crab roll in small town Arkansas is absolutely an American problem. We have land, we have peace, we have financial freedom. But again, unless we get a spider roll that's worthy of our fine palates, we're not doing this, we're moving. So they started flying fresh fish into Arkansas daily. That's commitment. I mean, and that's taken a lot into faith in the good Lord, because you were airlifting seafood into Razorback country, which is kind of like opening a snow cone stand in Antarctica. But I think part of why that sushi in Little Rock hit so hard was because we didn't see it coming. Nobody expected that, because expectation changes everything. If I'm in Tokyo and I order sushi, I expect a life-changing moment. If I eat sushi in Arkansas, I just hope I can survive it. Just let me get through it alive. So when it's incredible, your brain's like, what? It's like finding an amazing opera singer inside the Tractor Supply. It don't make no sense. That's why it's beautiful, because nobody expects it. It sticks with you, not because the moment's expensive, not because it's trendy, but because it surprised you. And my buddy loves stuff like that. He's such a wonderful dude. He loved finding hidden gems, Chinese restaurants that only 10 people have tried. That was his thing. He probably didn't know that that was the thing that he was really good at. And maybe that's the real luxury now. I'm probably not going to be rich, probably not famous places or influencer spots. All that stuff's not going to be luxurious to me, but just finding some time to spend with friends where we get to talk about things in places nobody thought to look. That's cool. Even if it is Little Rock, quietly serving some of the best world-class sushi in the world while the rest of us are still making bass fishing jokes about the place, but whatever. It was a good story, and it's good sushi. You should try it. I'm Bud Like the Beer, Ford Like the Truck. Thanks for spending time with us today at Bud Ford Comedy. I appreciate your time.